so excited this week to welcome Janette Downie to the Ambitious Awakened and Aligned podcast. Welcome, Janette.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I've been really looking forward to this conversation.
Me too. So, Janette and I met recently at a beautiful women's event, and I knew from the moment I walked into your chill space and received a hug from you that we were kindred spirits. And so I followed up immediately. And what was so interesting is I knew that. And I didn't know why. So then let me tell you a little bit about Jeanette. So she's a strategic thinker, creative storyteller, and advocate for redefining success as something sustainable and human. She's the co founder of Space Creators, who help small to medium sized businesses transform their marketing strategies into measurable growth. She's also the host of Ambitious podcast, where they dive into the intersection of ambition and well being. This is my mission in the world. And the creator of the Chill Space, which is where I first got to meet her, which is a unique blend of virtual community connection with physical spaces designed to help ambitious individuals find calm amidst the chaos of high energy events. Her mission is to empower others to embrace their humanity, show up authentically, and redefine success on your own terms. And just from that very quick intro, you know why our hug felt serendipitous.
I'm so glad that you brought up that hug because I've literally thought about that hug ever since it happened because there was something that happened in that moment, and it is so cool when you get to experience that. Like, we had never met before. We do have a lot of mutual connections, but didn't know it at the time. And we just in that moment, like, there was an energy that was shared between us where it was like, "Oh, we are kindred, and there's something here that we have in common." And obviously now I see, like, we have a mission, a great mission in common, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of other things that connect us as well. So yeah, I've thought of that hug as well. It was a good one.
It was a good one. And I think that's, what I'm really loving about whatever's happening in the world right now is this beautiful opportunity to connect with like-spirited women who are on the same mission. Like, literally, we speak the same language. Our podcast has the same word in it.
Yes. Yeah.
And I knew instantly we would be the type of people to straighten each other's crowns,
Mhm.
and that is massively important. We have the same mission to unfold in the world and in our own ways, but through very similar means. So, I wanna hear about the Anxiously Ambitious podcast. What in those words, what that means to you and how that was born and what seedlings got planted and where you're at with it. So walk us through that because I'm just fascinated.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I love talking about this because it's still, for me, a relatively new shift that I made in my personal brand and in kind of my mission and the way that I show up in the world. Prior to Anxiously Ambitious, I still had a podcast for about a year, called Cool, Calm, and Rich. And so in essence, the ethos of it was very similar to what I'm talking about now, but there was, for me, a very, big disconnect, and I think it was in the words "cool, calm, and rich," in the idea of trying to really position myself as, I think, an expert in getting people to try to walk my walk and talk my talk. I really figured out during that process that this doesn't feel authentic to me, right? And I don't necessarily want to be in that kind of figurehead position. I want to be a peer to people. Like, I am on a journey still. I always will be. And yes, I'm an expert in my own life, but that doesn't mean that I can necessarily tell everyone else how to do things, right? And so I started to realize that while I was sharing maybe 80% of my truth and my story, there was a lot of things that I didn't really touch on a lot. And I didn't talk a lot about my struggles with anxiety. I didn't talk about panic attacks that I've experienced. And I didn't share how I don't want to be this figure, like, I didn't tell anyone that, and so through some great conversations with other peers and business mentors, I really figured out that, you know what, there's a totally different direction I want to take this. And I really want to be able to speak to the duality of the type of person that I am. Because I am very high achieving, very ambitious. I have so many goals, so many things I want to do. But I'm also someone who has a lot of struggles with anxiety, struggles with mental health, and it's just not always easy, and I never wanted to make it look that way.
Mm,
So, making that shift into anxiously ambitious has felt so good, and so I would say the key difference for me now is that element of focusing on the humanity of things.
mhm.
So we really tend to forget, especially for entrepreneurs, but also women in general, like our humanity, right?
What does
Because
that mean to you when you say that? Because
yeah.
I'm deeply aligned with what you're saying. I'm so fascinated. So, what does that humanity piece look like in the way that you're looking to communicate it?
For me, it is seeing and honoring all aspects of the self.
Mm,
And so it's not hiding anything, the difficult, the dark, right? Being able to share all of it, not just the highlight reels, as everyone says, or just the positive things, just the wins. There is so much value in every piece
mm,
of being a human. And that gets so undermined, whether it's just not being allowed to cry or, not being comfortable talking about difficult things because it makes other people uncomfortable. Um, it's for me, it's just a real mission that all pieces of who you are welcome, good, deserve to be seen, no matter what position you're in.
mhm. So
Mhm.
beautiful, so true, so real. And so, when you shifted, I love that you said you're sharing a lot of the same conversations.
Yeah.
Just shifted the title of the podcast.
Mhm.
I'm guessing, though, something shifted inside of you as well. So, do you feel that through that experience, almost I'm sensing you're giving yourself more permission
Yeah.
to share the real raw parts of you as well? I'm
Yeah.
curious what's expanded for you by taking that approach?
Oh, yeah. Well, first, I love that you use the word permission because it's one
Mhm,
of the sort of cornerstone words of the brand. And we talk a lot about giving ourselves permission, but also by showing up authentically, giving others permission for whatever they need, right? So I love that you brought that word up. What's really expanded for me is so much it's there's an ease in what I'm doing because, again, of that permission that I've given myself to be human. A real inspiration for this, and I know everyone always talks about how the missions that we have, what we work on, it has to really be centered in wanting to help other people,
mm.
and that's definitely true for me, but also a big part of this is for my own accountability,
I love
right?
that.
And to be able to give myself the things that I'm preaching for others to give to themselves as well. And so there's been an expansion for me in my willingness to do that, right? And
Mm,
hold space for me too, right?
mhm.
And so I feel so much better in that an ease, like I said, in how I show up, what I'm talking about. I don't feel like I have to spend so much time thinking about everything anymore because it does feel so much more natural. It feels so much better as well. Like, I had a lot of blocks before, and it's funny how just simply, like, the way you talk about something can be such a block for you, right? Because it isn't 100% aligned. And
Mhm,
so I no longer have these blocks to sharing my stories, to being honest, down to like I run a marketing agency. I'm the founder at the top, and I have a team of 6 full-time employees and probably about 10 to 15 specialists. And I extend the same permission to myself as the founder of this company where I get to just show up however I am as a person every day, and I extend the same to my team, and, so just that has been so expansive, where
Mm.
I really believe that it's okay to show up however you are, wherever you find yourself on any given day, and giving yourself again that permission, that grace for it to be okay. That has been one of the biggest, I think, expansive things for me. It
When I think, talking about being a leader with that deep connection to what you're discussing. So for me, it's been this unraveling of I come from the corporate space as a corporate leader, and in that world, and I'm a little older than you. I think actually I'm a lot older than you. And so I, lived in a lot of those old paradigms, but also so did your generation because we passed them on to you. And what I love, because I have a daughter, I think is probably closer in age to you, is watching your generation
Mm,
watch us and choose something different because we watched our parents and followed similar paradigms, not really understanding that we had this permission piece. And I
right.
think we finally started to crack it open, and now you guys are running with it. And I'm in awe. My favorite conversations are with people at your stage in your career because you're owning it and you're owning who you are, and you are building companies
Mm,
that are aligned to those truths, and it's so powerful to watch because now you as a leader, you're not following some old system, you're creating a system where your team can feel valued and your team can feel real and they can show up as who they are and they can then feel empowered and offer their true voice. So, did you notice anything in that? Again, it doesn't seem like it was a huge transition, but those subtle transitions create massive transformation. So in that subtle shift for you, what have you noticed even with your team and how that's unfolded? Because I know leaders listening will be really, really curious about that.
yeah, it has been massive, and you're absolutely right, and I believe that it is all the series of little shifts that we make that do make the biggest impact on things, and we don't think of it that way, and I think that's why it's overwhelming sometimes too, because we assume that we're going to have to make a huge change for huge impact, and that's definitely not the case. The little things do go the longest way. And it's really interesting because even this morning, every Friday, we have kind of a weekly wrap up call, and we talk about what went well for the week and what didn't go well. And it's always amazing to be reflected back to me by my team members that, today it's Friday. I'm kind of having a crummy day. I don't feel great. I'm wearing the same thing I was wearing yesterday.
Love it.
And that I'm still happy to be here, right? Like, I actually still wanted to come to this call because I knew that it would be okay for me to not have to be in a great mood, to be in the same thing I wore yesterday, to not have to bring any kind of false narrative to how I feel. And so that's what's
Mm.
started to happen. And you're really starting to see this other people on my team giving themselves permission to also be themselves and to be okay with it. And then not only okay with it, but then it's almost like I'm actually happier because even though I don't feel great, I get to be in a place where that's okay and no one's going to make me feel bad about it. I'm not going to be reprimanded in my job because I'm having a crummy day. Like that's been the coolest thing to see that it actually does affect other people. And I think I guess that's the whole thing of stepping into authenticity, and it does give other people permission then to do it themselves.
And the ripple effect of that, because you've got 6 people who have families and friends and relationships, and then you've got all of your outside people, and then you've got all of your customers. So the ripple effect of authenticity is like, we can't even measure it. We can't even see it. It's
I
just it's
know.
massive.
And
So my favorite thing to say is all these things can coexist that we didn't realize could in the past.
yeah,
Right? Like, strategy and soul can coexist, and focus and fun can coexist, and anxiousness and ambition can coexist,
yeah.
and well-being and strategy can coexist, which is what you're saying. So, how do you feel that people how do they take that in? Like, what have you noticed in these types of conversations? What are your customers saying? Like, what do you I wanna know how you see that representing itself in the people that you get to interact with.
Yeah, sometimes it's sticky, like, it's not always easy, and I do notice that a lot, like, the 2 things, the duality of whatever it is, because there's always 2 sides of everything,
Mhm.
and they can totally rub up against each other, and it can be very uncomfortable, and especially in business, that happens more often than not, and it can be really hard, especially as a business owner, to know which direction do I go here, right? Which one do I lean Am I saying it's more okay in this scenario to favor the well-being, or should I be favoring the ambition in this scenario? And it's can be really hard to navigate, and I do see that come up a lot in the conversations, and I think the more that I am able to really stick clear and true to the values and, to what I'm trying to create, then eventually, it all comes together well, even if it doesn't always start that way, and so and the yeah, because 'cause we're up against, like, lifetimes of narratives and of stories of how businesses should be run and how people should be in professional scenarios. What does it even mean to be professional? Like, that's something I think about all the time, right? And so it can be really difficult sometimes. So I don't wanna say that it's always this, like, really nice,
It's
amazing
not. It's not. I was talking to someone about this last week, and I said, doing the work, like, doing the inner
part.
bringing these thought processes together, it is hard. It is there are weeks where you're like, "Whoo, we are running up against, we're running uphill with a giant boulder." In fact, you're gonna love this, Jeanette. So, last week, I do these Pop the Cork Fridays, and I started actually, like, writing messages on bottles, which is gonna come out very soon to the public, and so I wrote on the champagne bottle, "Success is not sacrifice." And this is actually the first one that's going to come out, and my husband is the president of a company, and so, our kids are just coming out of university. One of them has her master's, started in her career. The next 2 are coming along, sort of starting their careers, and he's talking to our one son, and he says, "Well, you're gonna have to sacrifice something," like, he gets that furrowed brow, and I'm like, "Time out, time out." No, no, we don't talk that language anymore. We've grown as a family. We've grown as leaders in our perception of things, and he just like he looked at me, and we had this, parental giggle of, even though we know we don't believe that to be true anymore.
Yeah,
We do believe in ambition, and we believe in, having seasons where, yes, you do have to grind something out, and then you have seasons of pause, and so, we got into the hang on, what we actually mean by what he's trying to say right now, and I pull out the bottle, and I'm like, "Look, it's right on the bottle. Success is not sacrifice."
yeah,
And in front of our children, we got to have this great conversation about that paradigm is so deeply rooted in us
mhm,
from our upbringing and our early experiences in corporate. Even we have to pause and
right.
recognize it's still in there cellularly at times.
Oh, 100%. I find myself, like, often spinning the same wheels, and I think that the positive side of that is being able to recognize it faster, but then and like you were able to have that conversation and talk through it and get somewhere and share that with your children, with your family, like, that is a success as well, right?
Mm,
And it does, it
mm,
takes so much effort and practice. The biggest things that have been so helpful for me is, 1, like, really clearly being able to figure out what my true priorities are in my
mm,
life, so that when things do start to get difficult, that I can really lean on that as, okay, if I know, like for me, my number one priority is my son. I have a
mm,
6-year-old son, and I know that I am in true alignment if I am giving my best to him. And so that rubs up against my business a lot, right?
mm,
And I used to favor my business and I used to give my effort into that, thinking that that was the right thing to do. And I felt awful all of the time.
mm,
So when I was able to make the shift to understanding what my true priority was, even though, yes, my business is a priority, my team is, you can prioritize something else over that. Knowing that, and now when they rub up against each other, I don't have to think anymore about what I'm gonna choose because I have my clear priority. So, if it means that I'm gonna sacrifice that time with him, I'm not gonna do it. It's a simple question for me now, right?
mm,
But it took time and it took effort to be able to understand that, to even know that that was my true priority, because we don't even get to sit with that question with ourselves a lot. Like, what do I actually care about? I
mhm,
have all these roles, all these identities. What am I really doing with all of that, right?
mhm.
And trying to figure that out. And then I also learned about having what are called even overs.
Ooh,
So
what's that?
2 really good things, okay? Not one good and one bad, but 2 potentially very good things that often rub up against each other.
Mm,
Knowing which one of those 2 things you would choose in that scenario is incredibly helpful. So, I have them in my business as well. So, one of them would be people even over profit. And so
mm,
knowing that profit is great, profit is needed for a business. We have to make money, we wanna make money, and we wanna keep growing that and being abundant, but the people are also incredibly important, and sometimes those 2 things rub up against each other, whether it's, team and clients, or
mm,
a potential opportunity, but that's not actually a really good fit for the business, but, would make a lot of money, but it was team would suffer, right? Knowing, so for me, I know I'm always gonna choose people over profit.
mhm.
And knowing that and having that clarity, I can't tell you how many times in a week I come back to these scenarios and I just say, well, I know in this scenario I'm choosing people, so the decisions become a lot easier, become a lot lighter. And then developing those for your personal life is even better, right? To know like
I love that as the, pre-thought out to really be conscious about that decision ahead of time. So even over. So you've got on either side of those what could rub up against each other as we've discussed, knowing that, becoming conscious about it ahead of time
yeah.
because I think one of the things that women really struggle with is guilt and shame.
Oh yeah.
And that takes
We're in the guilt Olympics.
we are in the guilt Olympics. Oh my gosh, so much. And we're winning the gold medal a lot. Yeah, so that would remove that because you've already consciously decided ahead of time.
It's huge, as
What a
yeah,
beautiful thing to
and
do.
especially for mothers, right? Because I think that's where we feel like we get split in so many directions, and so knowing, one of the things for me was time with my son versus time when in the business, and both are really good things, right? But if I get asked to have a call now in the evening when I would normally be having dinner and doing bedtime and all of that, well, it's not a question anymore. I am not available. Whereas
Mhm,
I used to prioritize the time in the business over everything.
mhm.
And did I feel out of alignment?
Oh, that's so good. To get to that transition and he's still so young, that's amazing. Mhm.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
feels great. It feels great, and that those are the things that I think help center me as someone who is both anxious and ambitious, right?
Mhm. And then you get to show up in your business back to authenticity,
Mhm.
because instead of carrying that guilt and shame bag around, which is so heavy, you're carrying alignment, which is light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
It's
that's
so
the goal, that we're deeply aligned to the mission of our lives and our business, that those 2 can coexist with, like, pure power and joy. I really believe that. Tell me about the seeds of the business.
yeah.
Marketing, and I'm also curious, and this could wrap into each other, of you being able to unfold the power of everything that you've shared. That must just really help your clients do the same. So I really want to know about that journey too, because entrepreneurs need so much help in marketing. This is my nemesis. Marketing is my nemesis, Jeanette. I swear. I love sales.
Oh.
Marketing is my nemesis. Everyone's like, "You're so good at marketing." I'm like, "No, no, no. No, no. We have a very love-hate relationship." So, and it's necessary, and I think a part of that experience is because I love what you said, the first name of your podcast versus what it is now, even that journey of finding your authentic voice,
Mhm.
which really, when you can get there, marketing is not complicated. It's
Right.
you showing up that way. But walk us through that. I wanna hear more about that for you.
Yeah, sure. Well, our my business, I started with my partner, so we run the business together, and we did actually start it with people first in mind, and so especially team first. A lot of people will start marketing businesses because they want to work with cool businesses and make an impact, help them make sales, and make cool brands. But for us, it was rooted in experiences of working in very toxic corporate environments that
Ooh.
we just both, went through, and we both worked really hard in our careers, only to, be left working for people who didn't value us. We had no time.
Just the
It
age-old story, right?
well,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and both in kind of very large corporate environments, agency
I was
environment.
gonna say, were you in the agency environment?
Yeah, so my partner was, and I was in, hospitality and event sales for a major corporation as well. So we both
This is
have
another alignment for us. I started in hospitality. Of course.
I knew it. I knew we were gonna learn more things through
Uh,
conversation. And in my journey to get into that job, like I said, I worked really hard. I felt like I had it made. Like I got 4 promotions in 4 years, and I was working in head office, and I felt like I had done it, right? Like I'd made it. And it was awful. Like I was also commuting 2 hours each direction every single day, only to go and sit into meetings that I didn't really care about. I wasn't super passionate, and it was just kind of soul sucking in a very difficult environment. And then my partner, similar but different, right? So
mhm.
we um, kind of through the pandemic ended up coming together and joining forces very organically. I had started doing some kind of work on the side as a virtual assistant, and one day Steve, my partner, came to me and he said, the work that you're doing, it's not really virtual assisting. Like you're really doing marketing, and with my experience and your experience, maybe we could do something. Like, what if we just gave it a try, right? Um, and so it was that casual of a conversation, and we said, "Okay, let's try, sure."
Oh, I love how organic that was.
Yeah, it was I remember we were facing each other across the kitchen island and just like, "Okay, sure, let's try, like, why not?"
Amazing.
It's that simple, but really knew that the purpose of it was, "Okay, yeah, we've got these skills, but work has to be able to be done better." Like,
Mhm.
a work environment has to be able to be healthier. Like, this just doesn't feel right. It feels crazy that we're still kind of being forced to make so many sacrifices, like you mentioned, and that, work has to take away from the quality of life instead of add to it. And so that became the real mission, was that people would get the opportunity to do work that they love while feeling valued and respected, and that having something that really added to their life instead of took away from it. And so that's still how we feel. We haven't changed that despite many challenges and, again, wondering, is this the right direction? Are we going to be successful? But as long as we stay true to it, I think we are.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
and that was kind of the beginnings of it, and really rooted in that. And what was neat is we have really attracted great talent to work with us because of this ethos of what we're building. And then, like you said, at the same time, also great clients who are also interested in this. And our mission with them is absolutely to do great marketing work, help them with their sales, with their brand awareness, but also to be able to help them create space. So that's the kind of ethos of the name of Space Creators, is help our clients also create space to focus on the things that they love to do, the
Love
things
that.
they're really good at. Yeah.
And so then you attract the people and the customers who are so
Yeah.
aligned to that vision.
Yeah,
For
most of
sure.
it.
Yeah. Well, and when you don't, back to what you said, you check and measure against that, right? Because it takes, I have a quote that I share often with people is it takes one employee to actually ruin a whole culture.
Mm.
And it takes one customer that you accept that isn't aligned with the what your mission is to do the same. Because what we accept from our customers, we're showing our team that we're accepting that on their behalf, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, and I can sense that you're really deeply aligned to that. But sometimes we say yes to people that we in the moment feel are aligned, and then things just go awry.
Yeah, yeah, you don't always know,
You
right, up front, and sometimes things happen over the course of a relationship, and so then that is where, again, having some of these core values and even overs can really help you navigate those scenarios, because it does get really difficult and challenging to know, "What am I supposed to do here?" But when you know those things, then that decision making becomes a lot easier.
Mhm. So you work with entrepreneurs for the most part and
We
help
work
them
with,
bring their vision to life?
Yeah, we work with a very wide array of people, actually. So everything from, we do have some kind of solopreneur clients, but
Mhm,
we also work up to kind of major tech and enterprise clients as
mhm,
well. So
mhm.
there's a lot going on, a lot of different industries, but we do focus in 4 core areas, which would be branding, websites, advertising, and email marketing. Uh,
Incredible.
the main things that we help those
Mm.
businesses with.
It's so good. And so I want to go back to the place where I first met you, which
Mm.
is the chill space.
Yay.
Oh my gosh, like, if I could describe this, I think one word, just first of all, very unique, and that's not the word I wanted to use. Nirvana was the word I wanted to use. So, we're at this event, and we were in this really beautiful mansion, that is used for events on Lake Ontario, the Paletta Mansion. I have am I pronouncing that properly?
Yeah.
And so it had all these unique rooms, and the one room that you were encouraged to go into when there was breaks was what Janette had created, and it was called the chill space. And truly, you walk in there and you've been taken to this space that calmed you down, just, like, aligns your nervous system in a new way, lets you release and just chill. Chill the fuck down. And this event was beautiful, but every event we go to has all sorts of different energies and things like that, and so the opportunity to be able to go escape to this room that you had created, can you tell us about this, and where did you come up with this idea?
I'd love to talk about this. I mean, as you're talking, I was getting so smiley because this is hands down one of my favorite things I've ever worked on, and, like I said before, I have a lot of things, a lot of goals, a lot of ideas, and, this has been one of my favorites. It is so fun to create, and I am someone who has spent a lot of time investing in masterminds and business experiences, workshops, networking events. You name it, I've done it all, and I love it. But at the same time, I find it incredibly draining and very overstimulating, and I'm, like, equal parts so excited and wanna get as much as I can out of it, and then also, like, completely terrified and, just, like, struggle to know, like, what am I supposed to be doing? How am I supposed to be showing up? Who should I
Mhm.
talk to? What am I supposed to leave with? And there's so many things that I think a lot of people can ruminate over when it comes to events, and they're so positive, and there's so much to be gained from going to these places and being in these spaces, and at the same time, it can take a toll. And what I've
Mhm.
noticed from myself is I would go to these things, and then for 2 days after the fact, I couldn't speak to anyone. Like, I was so drained energetically that I had nothing left, and it was difficult then to integrate everything that I had learned, and I struggled to follow up on connections that I had made because, again, it just took so much out of me, and I actually attended an event not too long ago where they just had a room. There was nothing really to it. It just was a space. It just was like, "Hey," it was kinda like a breastfeeding room, like,
Yep.
if you need a minute you can go into this space and just kind of check out. There again, nothing much to it,
Mm.
just available. And I was like, "This is cool." And I really like it, and I ended up going in there multiple times just to get
Mhm.
away. And I noticed that I started doing that more and more at these events, whether it was just, like, going outside and just kind of separating myself and realizing, oh, I feel way better as a result of just kinda giving myself these moments of calm and moments to be introspective, to absorb what I had just listened to and learned from the incredible
Mm.
speaker. Maybe even take some notes, right? Like, just get in touch with me again.
Mhm.
And I thought, I think I can do something with this. I think that I can do this really, really well and create an opportunity for people again to reconnect with themselves, honor their humanity, because not everyone can just go through these high energy events and not feel depleted. So I wanted to create this space, but I wanted to take it a step further where it was very, very supportive as well. So not only is the space available, but it's intentionally designed to help you relax, to give you what you need when you are feeling maybe a little overstimulated, a little overwhelmed. So every event is unique and different, and so the way that I set up the chill space is different for every event. I really think about the hosts. I think about what they're bringing, what is the purpose, and try to connect the design of the space to them and their event and what I think their attendees will really appreciate. And then, also, we'll have kind of either a soundscape that I think will go along with it, and, very intentional about the little pieces that you can touch if you want to, if you kind
Mhm.
of that sensory experience, or you can just sit, close your eyes, whatever you need, right? And slowly over time, I'm adding a little bit more to it each time. I'm starting to get some brands that are interested in, like wellness brands in
Mm.
supporting the space as well. So at my next one, I'm very excited. I'm going to have a custom wellness mocktail that we've created that will
Amazing.
be in the space. And so I'm excited to see what gets developed over time. But I'm so excited to bring this to people, and for them to experience it. So thanks for
It's
asking.
the timing of it could not be more perfect. So, last October, I ran a what I called a festival because I didn't wanna call it a conference, down in Niagara-on-the-Lake for women in leadership, and, it was all about the experience. So, I think, what I saw was all the pieces of you coming together. So, there's the hospitality part,
Mhm.
There's your awareness of marketing and that deep connection to the brand and helping that unfold. And then there's this we are two parts. So we're coming with all our energy and joy, and we're coming with some of our anxiousness and reserved parts of us. So, really honoring that humanity. And I felt the second I walked into the space, just like I could breathe. So there's also the energy of what you're bringing and the intention that you're setting around that space. So anyone listening that has an event coming up, this was a really unique game changer. And I really appreciated it. So when we put the festival together, for me, it was about that. Because we come from hospitality, right? We're always thinking in experiential thoughts. Like it's not a thought if it doesn't have an experience attached
Yeah.
to it. And I said, like, I don't want people sitting in a room. So we made sure we had gardens they could walk in, and we made sure that we had a happy hour bar in a different place that was done differently, and we had music integrated, and we had a cold plunge in Lake Ontario, which was led by Othership. And so, it was kind of that vibe,
Mm,
except yours was perfectly intentional
thank you.
to
Thank
the needs of the event, and I've never seen that before. So
thank
it
you.
was a wow. It was a wow, and I love that this is something that you're expanding. So
Yeah, I'm really excited, and again, it's so funny you've used the word festival. I set an intention because the event we were at was manifest her, and so a lot centered around manifesting what you wanna do, and one of the event, leaders, Renee, asked me, like, "What's your vision with this?" And I did say, "I wanna take this to as many events as possible, but I also want to create a chill fest."
Oh, I love that.
Oh, so funny that you say
Well,
festival
we're
'cause
doing another festival in October in Niagara-on-the-Lake, so you and I will definitely have to have a
okay,
conversation.
amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
I love that because and I do believe what I've seen in the past is there's lots of strategy conferences. There's lots of things you can go to get the education on the skill development or new ideas, and there's lots of beautiful wellness retreats and things to do. It's it's back to this things that can coexist. So why can't we do that in one space? So
exactly
that's
right.
what we did with the festival, and when you say chill fest, I see that, like, same
Yeah.
concept. Okay, I'm gonna ask you one last question. So I asked for your favorite quote or mantra. Oh, this just made me giggle because, like, I'm all about hawks and eagles and birds. And Jeanette's quote was, "If you want to fly, you have to give up the things that weigh you down."
Yes.
That's powerful. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I think for me, I just think of it so often because like I've said, throughout this recording a few times, like, there's so many things I wanna do and so many ways that I want to be able to fly, and we are the only ones who can really allow ourselves, again, the permission to fly, right? And we do let ourselves be weighed down by so many things. And for a long time for me, it was my own narratives, my own stories, my anxieties, my fears. All of those things were really weights for me, and it's not to say that they still don't weigh me down often, because it does happen, and that's also part of my human experience. But I want to experience life and I want to fly through it. And so reminding myself often that I can do that and I can do that whenever I want to. I just have to clip these weights off that are holding me down and I'll be able to go anywhere and do anything. And so I remind myself of that often because in my journey I'm the one who's always been my own worst enemy. Those sort of other aspects of me, if I think of myself as flying, it's like the other parts of me that are the weights holding me down. It's no one else. No one else is in my way. It's always been me. And so it's just, yeah, reminding myself not to be the burden of me, right? Like the different parts of me to again allow them all to exist and whatnot, but don't let them weigh me down or stop me from doing what I want to do.
That's so powerful. Thank you for sharing that because I think as women, it is mostly us in our own way. And if we can even just recognize that for a moment, just to really lean into seeing those parts of us that are weighing us down and allowing for them to be released and to just trust more. So, Jeanette, you are a treat. This has been such a joy this
Likewise.
conversation with you. And I'm so excited to see where our connection flows and goes because I have a feeling it's going to. Thank you for being here and for sharing your inspiration and your energy with all of us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be connected and to share and just to share all of the things that I've learned and continue to learn. And like I said at the beginning, just to be a peer with you and with everyone and walking the journey together. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's amazing. And we will share how you can reach out to Jeanette in our show notes. And until next time, stay ambitious, awakened, and aligned.